carbs in the morning and shutting off that growth hormone, or carbs in the afternoon and shutting off that growth hormone. I create that growth hormone response for almost 24 hours. Do you see what I'm saying?
Even if you work out in the morning, you don't think it's necessary to have carbs after you work out?
I don't think so.
Just the coconut oil?
Yeah, I really believe it's optimal. Like I've ran just BCAAs too, and that works great as well. I just think keeping your second stage insulin spike from carbohydrates to a minimum before the evening is awesome. Now again, it depends on if your workout's an hour and a half, then you're probably going to want to put carbs during your workout somewhere. And I also like to use the keto salts now because those are just fantastic. So when I'm working on like a 6-set complex with 6 different movements like we do all the time, and it's going to go an hour and a half because my mobility took longer and people interrupted me, then I'm going to start having that kind of beverage to help replenish electrolytes and kind of like protect any muscle burning from happening. So there's amino acids, there's carbs in there, and some MCTs or some keto salts. Does that make sense? Okay.
So the other thing too is just ask intelligent questions. What's your goal? Her goal may not be your goal. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's going to determine what you're eating. So right now you're contest prep, right? He's trying to lose body fat. So for him, he, maybe he does deadlift workout super hard. He taxes CNS because he does powerlifting too. He may want some carbs after that. But someone like me or my clients that are in fat loss mode, they don't need carbs after their workout. Or if they just did shoulders, they're not going to need carbs. So just ask yourself what you're trying to accomplish and then choose the appropriate answer for that.
And then did you earn them? Did you earn those carbs still? Like, that's a big one. Like, did you beat your ass into the ground to earn those carbs? Because that's all you need. Like, can you build more muscle on a carbohydrate-based diet faster than you can on a ketosis, high-fat-based diet? Absolutely. But whose goal is it in here to go to Mr. Olympia and be on that stage? Nobody. Do you see what I'm saying?
I thought you raised your hand.
Other than this guy, like this is his goal. And so, how many carbs are you eating a day right now?
About 400.
2?
Right now.
Between 400 and?
400.
Oh, well, we had him at, what were you?
Or
like,
550.
Yeah, 550. You see what I'm saying? And he's getting leaner, and he's got a mesomorphic body type. So, like, when you look at different people, like, he's the only true meso in here. Does that make sense? How old are you? 19? Yeah, 19. And he's 18. Again, shocker. But, like, you could tell by different people, like his structure, his head, and he's powerlifting too. So you can tell by those things. Like, if you look at me, I have a little bit of a mix between an endo, a meso, and an ecto. So it's just, you can be a mix of all 3, you can be 2, you can, very rarely are there just the ones, but you do know who they are. Like football players and Olympic shot putters, there are a lot of endomorphic structures there because it's all power. And then you got like the bodybuilders like Phil Heath and Dorian Yates that are all meso. Like they can do anything, eat anything. John Meadows is another one, and just stay shredded and get bigger. Do you see what I'm saying? But for us, it's much more of a complicated mechanism that you need to put together. It's a problem you need to solve, but the only way you do solve that is getting coaching, coming to classes like this, and then playing and experimenting. So as soon as you get all this, you go home and you put it in play. Because if you don't, 80% of it's going to be gone. Pretty much. Except for those recorded and you can watch it again. And then I'm pretty sure you guys are going to post on Facebook. So you guys can.
Okay.
Anybody got questions? Okay, so again, no 6 meals a day. Set up your morning with coffee, meat, nuts, fat, protein, basics. Okay, and if you really don't like eating anything, then just leave it off a little bit. We're all health conscious here. I'm not speaking to people who are obese or who are going to cut out a meal because they think they're going to get skinny. I don't have that crowd, and I would be talking completely different to that crowd. But here, it's just play with it. If you don't feel comfortable eating, or you do feel comfortable eating, take your time with it. Find out what makes you feel optimal, and make sure you're trying something for a week before you make a decision is a big one too. A week or 2, put something in play. If you're still not liking the effects, then try something else. Cool? Yeah, keep firing away. I've got more questions to ask if you want. That's pretty much all I got. Fire away. We like tangents. That's my favorite thing.
Do you work, Catherine might be,
Yeah.
do you work a lot with women that have had kids and have to change their diet completely around from before to after, just because, I don't know, it's just my thought process going on, because I was only pregnant for 6 weeks and my body completely changed from being able to eat whatever I wanted to, I feel like anything I ate went straight to my body.
Yeah, your hormones change. You went through that shift.
So,
It sounds like your cortisol just kind of out of control. I mean, there's a lot of other things we could it could be, and I'm not a doctor, but you would have to get blood work done.
I know, that's what I
But
was-
like what we've been seeing is cortisol is usually the big one, especially if it was only 6 weeks, because whatever followed after that is extremely stressful.
Did
You
you
see what I'm
gain
saying?
weight after? Is that what you're asking?
like 5 pounds, and yeah, it took me like forever to lose it because I was so used. I mean, this is back before I started really eating healthy, but that was something I thought about when you're talking about body types and who needs what, and I was like, probably really changes for women that have had kids.
Yeah, like for instance, like when women are breastfeeding, they don't want to drop into a caloric deficit because like that's an issue. So it's
And don't
probably
do
kind of
cleanses.
along the same lines as that like your body was adjusting and so it has to slowly adjust back to what's normal. So that's probably why you weren't able to just lose and lose and lose because your hormones weren't at that level yet to be able to drop back to what they were before.
Well,
So-
that was like 5 years ago. I feel like,
But at the same time, your eating style was whack.
right.
You know what I mean? It was like all over the place, like mine was. So back when I was 5 years ago, nothing with a baby or anything, like I wasn't eating anything good. I was fat.
Food baby.
Yeah, a food baby. It took me 6 months to get that one up. But you know, it was just like, I think that's the issue there too, because like if you would have started on a ketosis-based diet, and that's a cleanse, because we know that's a cleanse. That's going, and that's why you don't do cleanses for the camera and anyone else. Just don't do cleanses. This is so stupid. There's so many studies that came out, and they compared studies of just those who just started cleaning up, and they're like, yeah, the cleanses don't work. None of them did anything. So all they did was starve themselves, which that on its own, without eating lemon pepper and cayenne and honey and stuff like that, or doing those super soy-based shakes, that alone, starving yourself, which is okay, people do it for 3 days at a time if they need to, or even 24 hours, which I do almost every Sunday, is great for you. You stay in a really good rejuvenation period, and a lot of people freak out because like, if I don't get my calories and lose my gains, or or if I get too many calories, I'm going to get fat. There's both sides of the situation. But if I don't lose my calories, I'm not thinking over my calories over one day. It's over the whole week. See what I'm saying? So usually Saturday is a refeed day for me to where I'll pump up. So if I've been eating 2,000 calories for mass sake every day, I'm going to triple that. Depending on how hard my workouts, or double it depending on my workouts on Saturday. And then Sunday, I like to do nothing until dinner. So I'll stop eating at 5 on Saturday. I'll finish with dinner on 5 on Saturday or Sunday. Does that make sense?
So tangent on that, what a lot of people do wrong, especially women I notice, is they either go too low or they don't stay at a baseline. So for instance, someone that's cutting into a show, they could be eating anywhere between 14 to 1,800 calories, depending on what their body type is. So a lot of people, what they do is they don't see anything the first couple weeks, maybe even the first couple months. And so what they think is either a guy usually thinks, well, I need more food, or a girl usually thinks I need less food. Consistency is the most important thing. I can stay at the same calorie range for a month and lose a lot of body fat. And it's not necessarily all scale weight. So that's what's important to remember is your internal is changing. You may not be able to see that. So if he's 13% body fat, he's not gonna look much different at 10% body fat. And that's when people get into that mindset of where they need to change, when they really just need to stay where they're doing and stay consistent versus, he's saying he has a refeed, but that's because he's in a very deep caloric deficit. So I would say if you're under like maybe 25% of your calories, that's where you would want to refeed. But if you're only cutting 15 to 20%, which is where most people are, then you don't need a refeed. You just need to stay at that level and just see the consistent changes from week to week. And they'll be there. You'll have maybe some areas where it's like, I don't drop anything, especially the leaner you are, you won't see any change. And then all of a sudden you'll drop 5 pounds. So that's important to remember too. And then with women, as long as your thyroid and everything is checked out, that's kind of what you want to pay attention to. Women can fluctuate 5 to 10 pounds monthly, so it's really important not to get caught up in the scale, because even for guys, because that's not accurate changes. But if you take measurements, you take pictures, you're monitoring, you're aware of how much you're eating, you'll see the changes consistently. I look at pictures from 2 years ago and I look completely different from when I started Ben's programs. And that's because I was consistently eating, better food, better quality. I was tracking things, and so I was able to see that I was changing versus just going on the fly and saying, hey, I'm actually not changing like most people do. Because if you're not monitoring, you're not aware of changes. It's just like a business. Like, if you're not aware of what you're doing, if you're not tracking, you're not going to get any growth because you have no strategy. You're just winging it. So just stay consistent with it. If you do have thyroid issues, the circadian stuff he talked about is huge. let your body reset, especially if you're like in a deep caloric deficit for like 12 weeks. Let your body reset, go back up to normal calories for a while.
Well, and the big thing about why I put a lot of people on high fat who come to me when they have issues of their metabolism to slow down, or they hit a plateau, or they gain a lot of weight after a show. The reason I put them in a high fat diet is because the first 2 weeks, you get an automatic 20% deficit. So I gotta feed these people more food than they've ever had, so they're always satisfied. They're not looking for a binge mode because they don't feel like they're in a deficit anymore. So in a sense, if you need 2,000 calories, I give you 2,400. That's 400 calories. It's a big difference. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I like to put people in that phase, is because that really helps your hormones as well. And then after the 2 weeks, kind of going by how you feel, add some carbs here and there, left and right, just gonna go by feel again. But a 2 week fat adaptation kind of metabolic reset will help you be a little bit more insulin sensitive. And when you do handle carbs, they'll take, versus go somewhere else and put everything as fat.
And going along what you were saying, like the biggest thing people are scared of is coming out of caloric deficit is getting fat. So obviously you can do it gradually, bump up 100 to 200 calories, go back up to your maintenance calories. But sometimes if you have really damaged metabolism, like you've been dieting super hard, like if you have someone that, you know, you did a bodybuilding show or whatever, the harder you cut, the more you're going to gain back, which is why it's better to go, like he said, 20 to 25% deficit versus 40% deficit. Because if that happens, if you're in a 40% deficit and you're pushing super hard, you're gonna have to gain body fat afterwards. You're gonna have to go up to baseline calories. And maybe that's kind of what you were saying, is like you had to go to baseline and let your body adjust and gain some body fat before you can now lose again. Because your metabolism has to go back to normal and say, hey, there's food, before it can now, you can cut out calories again and actually lose the body fat.
Well, that was the first thing everyone goes to when they stop like losing weight or they're gaining too much weight, is a freak out method.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just freak out and try to change everything right there, and your body was like, I was just about to change. Why'd you do that? Does it make sense? So it's like 2 weeks. If you're going to start eating more, you're going to naturally go up on the scale. So if you're trying to get yourself out of a crappy situation, you're going to go up. The possibility of you gaining fat, unless you're already fat, is like 3 full days of eating shit. Like 3 full days of really going crazy.
Over 1,000 extra calories.
Over 1,000 extra calories. That's when you're going to actually put on real fat. Now, if you're doing that consistently over the week, a lot of people that have those weekends, we're totally guilty of clean, and then what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Ice cream
So,
all weekend long.
yeah, all weekend. It doesn't stop. I'm talking 6 nights
Avocado
of Ben and
cookies.
Jerry's. Yeah.
She knows what I'm talking about.
3 of them or something.
Yeah. That's how I roll.
But same
I got all
thing,
the
like
tonight
when
knows.
when you're cutting, it'll take time for your body to adjust, and then you'll drop body fat. Same with if you're trying to gain weight. It'll take a while for your body to adjust to that higher maintenance calories, and then it'll adjust, and you won't necessarily need to take in more calories. You'll just adjust and you'll stop gaining body fat.
But
Unless you're overeating too much every day, like most people binge, and then that's where you do gain body fat.
Yeah, and the whole freak out method too is there's 2 ways to create a deficit. Does anyone know they are? It's pretty easy. Exercise and calorie cutting, right? So everyone jumps on, oh, I'm getting fat, I'm gonna cut my calories, or I'm getting too much, I'm gonna cut my calories, or sorry, the same thing. But if I'm, getting too big too fast, all that stuff, or dropping way too much weight, it's all right back to calories, versus most of the time it's, oh shit, something happened, I'm gonna do both. Do you see what I'm saying? So we didn't just eat more or eat less, we worked out more and ate less, or we worked out less and ate more. And sometimes if you're on the weight gain path of trying to put on muscle, it's just like, okay, I'm not going up, so I'm gonna eat more, but that means I should work out more too. Do you see what I'm saying? So those connections happen, and all you're doing is expending more, not necessarily growing. So it's finding a balance to help you grow as much as possible. And again, shoving your face with all this food and carbs all day is just going to create tons of inflammation. You're going to get acid reflux, freaking all sorts of crap. So 400 grams of carbs during a bulk, if you're really truly bulking, it's money. But those who aren't trying to add slabs of meat on, 150 max. That's what I'm thinking. That's a hard workout day too. And when you get used to eating very little carbs, 150 is low. You're like, whoa. And again, stay away from gluten. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, gluten, it doesn't matter. You have to be celiac, or you have to be, no, it really sucks at every level. Like, we've talked about doctors talking about it interfering with the lymphatic system, so your blood flow. The whole system your body's set up on, it interferes with that. So, and if it interferes with just that little amount, then it's gonna take place somewhere else. See what I'm saying? So it's not about, okay, what's gonna get you from healthy to a little healthier. This is what's going to get you from where you're at now to fucking badass superhero. You see what I'm saying? Nothing but super. That's what this is designed for, and that's what all you guys should want. Is you want to be the best version of you. So don't take shortcuts. Don't, okay, I'll eat that because it's there. You can go anywhere and get something on the menu. See what I'm saying? Just remove the carbohydrate content out of it. And actually, you can go and just, like John Romanell is a guy we follow, and we looked at an article, and he's like, I treat the place as my own kitchen. So I'll go back there, I'll say, cook me a steak and eggs and butter. And they'll do that for you, and they'll serve it to you, and you pay for that. You see what I'm saying? So the menu is not the menu. There's always secret menus. I've been doing it for years. Because there's a lot of places we go, there's no way I'm eating that stuff.
So along the same lines, it doesn't necessarily have to be junk food. Like that's what we notice is like you don't cheat day and junk food every single weekend. Like more food can mean 150 calories of better carbs. Like when he was doing a show, I always diet with him. And on the weekend it was summer, so we had more fruit, and then I would make like a cleaner version of like cobbler or something like that. Because I was getting fresh raspberries all the time. So it doesn't have to be, well, I've been dieting, I need to now eat junk food on the weekend. That's fine. Like I've had times where I eat chocolate every day and I've lost body fat. And if you need to do that to feel normal again because you've been, repressing or like cutting everything out, then do that. Have a little bit of small stuff so you don't feel like you're going crazy and you're dieting. But for the most part, just try to eat better quality foods on the weekends if you're trying to eat more food, if you're trying to bulk.
Your macros.
Yeah, then eat Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts every day.
That's right.
Plastic Pop-Tarts. So that's another thing too, is the nutrient density we're looking at. So if it comes out of a box and most of the ingredients are preservatives, which that's usually the case, the nutrients there, or the fortified nutrients, are still chemicals that are fake. And so if you're going to look for carbs, like healthier carbs, instead of going after Pop-Tarts with some things your body doesn't recognize, or you're going to go after a nutrient-dense carb, which they're not very many, but like you got sweet potatoes and different sorts of potatoes that have their own nutrients. That's why carbs aren't really that important, and everyone knows that you can't build muscle on carbs, right? Carbs don't build muscle, plain and simple. If you had just had carbs, you will die. Literally, I'm not exaggerating, you'll die. So you have to have the protein and you have to have the fat. And if you're trying to gain healthy weight, like without trying to stuff yourself, what has more calories, carbs or fat? Fat. So you can surplus that way without feeling stuffed. And then with carbs too, a lot more water retention, a lot more, if you're eating stuff that's processed with gluten, I guarantee you're gonna be bloated. Everyone's like, oh no, I don't think I have a problem. And I cut it out of their diet and they're like, holy shit, crazy. Like one chick is like, I didn't have to be on my blood pressure diuretic medication. She went off of that just because she stopped eating processed carbs. She still had carbs every night, but it wasn't processed. That was the only difference.
Do you think it's okay to intermittent fast every day?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Yeah, it's timing. Like you could do like a 12-12, maybe like a 10-hour feed. I wouldn't go lower than a 10-hour feed, and I think 12 hours.
Well, it also depends, because if you do coffee with a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of coconut, a half scoop of protein, your body still sees that as fasting. It's not enough to really make that much of an impact to kick you out of your sympathetic nervous system.
Just because, with all the fat I eat, I only want 2 meals a day, so I usually won't eat till like noon.
Yeah.
Well,
what are your results though?
Sometimes.
Because I had you eat 3 with a protein shake when we first started, and you've moved into 2. You see what I'm saying? So you've just grown into it.
I remember how against it I was.
Yeah. So at that point, she's found what's comfortable for her, and you guys have seen her pictures every time she's posting something. It looks better and better. So it's just consistency and not freaking out or saying she needs to go back this way. And she's had crap. You know what I mean? She's had throw some cheap food out there. Cheap food.
Oh my gosh. Whenever I go to my parents' house.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
All the cookies and
she's super nice. I'm super self-righteous. And when we go to our parents, I'm like, I don't eat that shit. My parents are like, do you want to bring your own food now? So they understand.
No. My mom was like, here's a whole pumpkin pie for you to eat right now. Like,
that's how her mom is for me too. And my grandma,
Yeah. Well, the thing too is how many calories are you eating? Because like, if you're in a deficit, you could cause more problems than if you're doing IF and not in a deficit. So I did it for a long time, but I would have coffee, so it wasn't like I was necessarily fasting. But then I wouldn't eat till like 1 or 2, and I was fine. Yeah. And I went back to normal, and it was fine.
It goes back to earning it. So the thing is, if I'm gonna really refeed on a Saturday, I'm gonna really crush myself Saturday afternoon. Like I got about 2-hour workout to go hammer. You see what I'm saying? And then I'll have some Ben & Jerry's. So, but I'm gonna have a lot of protein and meat with it too. It's not, I'm just gonna cut everything out and have nothing but crap, because there's no point in that. If there's not protein in there, you're not gonna end up being anabolic. So, and again, it's not over the day, it's over the week, same time. Just don't eat all crap. Any questions? Yeah, fire away, bro.
So I've been at a calorie deficit probably for like 3 years now, like under 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
But now everything's kind of settling down, and I'm able to. We're thinking of doing like ketosis or the ketogenic diet.
Yep.
Like, is that something to start off with, or should I?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can eat a lot. That's the safest way to go into calorie surplus. Because automatically you think, if I go into caloric surplus, I'm going to get fat. But if you go into ketosis-based surplus, like I said, you automatically have a deficit. Your body's going to go through so many different changes. Your body requires so much more to digest proteins and fats than it does carbs anyway. And your body has its own ability to make glucose in the long run. So like going on ketos, definitely you eat lots of bacon and eggs. And the thing is, with that stuff, you don't feel like overeating. No one in their life is like, yeah, man, I just freaking woke up after 2 pounds of bacon. No one does that. As much as I love bacon, I've never done that. You know, but I've done it with Quest bars even, and freaking like a box of Quest bars, like, what, bro? No blacked out. I don't know what happened, you know? Yeah.
I don't know how your stomach handles
It
it.
doesn't have a problem for some reason. My stomach's like, I love Quest bars.
They taste good.
Yeah.
So much fiber.
Yeah.
So when you're on that ketogenic diet, you don't pull in carbs. Do you cheat on the ketogenic diet at all, or is it pretty much you're solid eating it all the
I
time?
do.
She does. But it should be your base. Like, you should be able to go 2 full weeks. Anybody can do anything in 2
Oh,
weeks.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So go 2 weeks and then go from there.
Yeah,
Then we'll cover a lot of that. You see what I'm saying?
7 pounds the first 2 weeks I did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't know I had 7 pounds to lose, and I was eating butter.
A lot of it was like
fat,
inflammation though. A lot of it was probably like 3 pounds of water and shit.
Yeah.
Right, but no, not fine. I'll
Yeah, no, I
stick to
know.
whatever the hell.
Yeah, no, I'm just letting you know, like,
I'm determined.
yeah, it was a pure fat, but at the same time,
yeah,
like,
it felt so
our
much
health
better.
came.
Like, I was like, this is amazing.
And the mental benefits from going high fat is ridiculous.
Yeah, I hate that I don't have to think about what I need to eat every 2 hours. Like,
That's a huge one.
Plus, you don't usually have
Which
to
would be
count
nice.
calories, which is nice.
yeah,
You just
I
kind
don't
of eat
know
until
calories,
appetite is
calories.
full.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I tell everybody.
Do you guys have other questions?
I've been reading about it.
Yeah, fights on fat guys with
Anything specific you
Instagram.
guys want to know?
I was totally against it at first. Like, no.
Anything else?
What's the best protein besides whey if you're allergic to
No,
whey?
I don't even.
Beef, isolate.
Well,
Yeah, that's good stuff. Egg white is the other one.
Yep.
And then, are you allergic to all whey?
Exactly. I don't know why people like
Yeah, semi-medium.
What, have you tried any
Study.
pure isolates?
No.
Like Isoflex?
Right.
Probably try something like that. Because like, if you're doing blends, there's milk in there somewhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're getting are you lactose intolerant? Is that what it is?
No, I'm just
Oh,
allergic
okay.
to whey.
Just whey intolerant.
Yeah.
You might go to, it's not that important though. You can
And
go
I
with
used
the
to
beef
take it and I
isolate.
didn't feel anything different, but I did like the little food allergy test.
Oh, that
That's
came
what
back.
up, so I-
Well, another thing too is you could have been taking too much
Oh.
and then got tested. Because you actually have to cut it out and then get it tested.
I can see that.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like if you eat,
I probably just take a
yeah, oh yeah, dude, I was the same way. I got allergic to muscle egg and protein because I was doing like freaking 300-400 calorie, like, well, 300-400 grams, carbs, calories, everything, or protein every night. And like, I would start getting really congested. Yeah, so yeah,
So
totally.
if I've cut it out, I think it's good to try to.
That's why I cycle my
So-
proteins. So like one night I'll just do muscle egg, the other day I'll do all beef, the other day I'll do whey, the other day I'll do a combination of all three.
You can do
see what I'm
essential
saying?
amino acids.
You can just do
too.
BCAAs, just essentials, yeah, all that stuff.
Question. I read somewhere that you shouldn't have greens right after you work out. Is that true? Or
Depends on your goal.
Depends on your goal.
It is, okay.
If you're a fighter or a contact athlete, I say fighter because it's automatic, you know. But then yeah, greens like all the time, alkaline as much as possible. Like you can't do it enough because you're training and you're getting hit and there's a lot of concussive and stress going on. You see what I'm saying? So, but with like greens post-workout, I think you should wait a half hour to an hour and then you can alkalize. That's what I do personally. So after my workout, I just chill, I let everything come back down, and then I'll go home, I'll do like protein, and then depending on afternoon or night, carbs. But the thing is too, when you get into ketosis for a long amount of time, like I can get up to 150 grams of carbs and still stay in keto. Actually, I've gone up to 400 and stayed in keto the next day. Super weird, and you know, I'm into new territory because this is for me, but at the same time, like I've earned it. Like don't get me wrong, my workouts during the week were nuts, but at the same time, like I don't know what happened there. I'm still working on it. That's why I get to work with Jake and Ryan to figure this stuff out. But Also,
So it's about acidity too. Like
Yeah.
that goes back to what your goal is. Like when he's doing powerlifting, he could probably alkalize after his workout. Whereas when he's doing
You want to.
hypertrophy, he's trying to create as much cortisol, not necessarily cortisol, but he'll have cortisol during his workout, and he's trying to create as acidic environment as possible so that his body will change. So that's why after hypertrophy, you may not want to alkalize right away because you want that acidity. So
and that
that's
depends
the
on your
difference.
workout too. Like if it's an hour, the acidity is going to be crazy at that
Yeah.
point. So you want BCAAs and carbs. Carbs will help the inflammation a little bit at that point, and so will the BCAAs, especially with their like infused electrolytes. So it'll help bring the inflammation down during your workout. But then again, after that point, you're kind of whatever happens, you can just nail it. After that, like 15 minutes after if you need to, which no one can really do anyway unless they bring it to the gym with them. But I would wait an hour. Like we follow a guy, John Kiefer, he wrote carb backloading, and he's smart, and he was looking at the workout window, and he's like, yeah, I think it's really important for that acidity and nastiness we create to sit in and sink in, because I think you got like about an hour after that workout to where you can still damage the muscle, and then right after that we're alkalizing, flooding it with insulin and proteins and everything to rebuild it and get that inflammation down. Cool? Sweet.
Aaron was telling me about this the other
Since you
day.
brought up carb backloading.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is carb night and do that for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so.
Yeah, don't set a goal. Remember, just play it by ear. You see what I'm saying? At least 2 weeks. But
Right.
after that, it's go with the flow. But yeah, I mean, carb night's fantastic. Don't eat shit.
Right.
Yeah, he rewrote it. If you listen to his podcast, it's not you can eat pizza and donuts and stuff. That was for like, if like a lot of people took it out of context and were like, I can do that. But he was talking about like the power lifters he was taking that were 340 pounds at 25% down to 300 pounds at 15%. So they could eat junk food and Wendy's and still make that change. But if they wanted to get sub 15, that would stuff would start going away.
High glycemic though, right?
And he says high glycemic instead of but we don't want whole wheat anyway. Granted, that's high glycemic as everything else. But like,
But like rice,
white rice,
or white
jasmine rice.
potatoes, those aren't necessarily bad, and that's what he's saying is okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, what is carb night sustainable?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I do.
And that's what, yeah.
Yeah. Like I rarely have carbs in it, just because I don't feel like it.
Right.
And that's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And even, I mean, with me being pregnant, like, even having carbs now, I'm like, it's exhausting. Like, it makes me so tired, and I hate it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
What you want to do though is 6 weeks after you deliver, you want to get your thyroid levels checked to make sure they're normal, and just make sure that that's monitored before you go super low carb, and then just make sure your fat's always higher than your protein in everything. But yeah, then you should be fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if someone's not like losing weight and they say they're eating everything perfectly on like a ketogenic diet, is it most likely their thyroid, or is it just that they're lying and they're actually not?
But weight doesn't matter necessarily. It could be they're lying, which
Right?
I'd like to
You can't
believe
be
the
with
best in
them, see
everybody.
what they eat.
Yeah, I mean, I would have them
Well,
troubleshoot, start tracking,
Yeah.
tell them to do a 3-day food log.
Yeah,
That's the big one.
I tried.
But you can have them keep it in there. That's why I have everyone download it.
I know I tried.
Okay, didn't work?
I don't want
Yeah. So that's
to. My guess is she wasn't really not.
that, or she's eating too much nuts. Because if you give someone nuts, it's kind of hard to control. I've noticed. That's the big one to go over. And then like,
Or maybe they're having too much protein and not enough fat.
exactly, that could be another.
How
So-
deep is their deficit?
This was a while ago, so I don't remember.
So that's kind of, another thing you want to look at is how low her actual calories are. Because the thing is, like,
Yeah.
how much food you need is negligible based on how much lean body mass you have.
And activity.
You know, like a lot of women don't have that much lean body mass, so honestly,
Right.
they're not gonna need a ton. So there could be days that they're lower and higher on certain days. Like that's a good way to change it up too. It's like, well, did you work out today? No, then you may need, a little bit extra, less calories.
Right, yeah.
That's a big
But
one.
yeah,
I guess
everybody.
It was just hard because she would never vlog it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how to help you.
I tell my clients, it's like if you're gonna cheat, you have to tell me exactly what you ate, because it's the only way to hold people accountable. And like that's the problem with studies too, is they're always like messed up because everybody
Another one, too,
lies,
is, like,
not
how do
in
you-
a bad way.
How do you handle that? Because like she might be lying to you because like she's had another trainer that would guilt trip her.
Yeah.
It's a lot that goes on. It used to be the old mentality like shame, shame, shame. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But what happens when you ate shit when you came in? I was like, that's all right, cool.
Well, you could
Was it
tell,
good?
'cause I was like,
But you know,